When I was new to speaking in tongues, the idea of seeing angels fascinated me a lot. You see, in the fellowship that I was attending at that time, there were countless people who claimed to see angels. In that fellowship, we used to pray in tongues a lot. Such encounters were very common. Despite such encounters being very common, no one was giving a detailed explanation about seeing angels. If these people are seeing angels, why can't they give us concrete information? I would ask myself with great frustration. Augustine, if you want to know details about seeing angels, go and ask someone who has seen angels, I would tell myself. However, being naturally reserved, I never asked for information from someone who had claimed to see angels. I had two objections in my mind that stopped me from going to ask those people who claimed to have seen angels. One, those people looked too spiritual. The thought of asking them what I considered to be a carnal question terrified me. Two, I suspected some of them were making up those experiences, and I didn't want to be the person to confront them with hard questions. Because I couldn't get answers from people who claimed to see angels, I had to figure out another way to find out the truth. I turned to my tried and tested formula, copy-pasting. If I can copy all they do, I should get the results they get, I said to myself. Since I had the gift of speaking in tongues, I didn't see much of a difference between them and myself. I knew I had a good chance of seeing angels if I prayed in tongues fervently. After all, those who claimed to have seen angels, they had those experiences during sessions where we were praying in tongues. Before I copied anything, I began by doing a bit of research on angels. I wanted to understand who the angels were, how they operate, the condition of seeing them, and any other important information about them. I figured out if I could gain enough information about the angels, I would be in a better position to interact with them and hopefully see them. I went to the most trusted source to start my research, the Bible. From the scriptures, I came up with several accounts of people encountering angels. Stories like that of Manoah and the wife in the book of Judges chapter 13 got me started. I had key questions that I wanted to understand. 1. Did the seeing of angels occur in the Old Testament and the New Testament? The answer to this question would help me understand if seeing angels was still possible today. 2. Were all the people who saw angels righteous people? This would help me understand if sin and defilement would hinder me from seeing angels. 3. Did the angels appear on their own accord, or did people request to see them? This would help me understand if it was possible to ask to see angels. Jesus told us to ask and we will receive anything. I had my questions and all I needed to do was to ask them. Good for me, the one I wanted to ask the questions already knew I wanted to ask the questions. The Holy Spirit began revealing to me answers to the questions that I had. First, the Holy Spirit enabled me to understand that seeing of angels happened both in the Old Testament as well as in the New Testament. There are accounts of seeing angels in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. My second concern was to understand if righteousness was a prerequisite of seeing angels. From my research, I realized that almost everyone who saw angels in the Bible was righteous. That wasn't a very encouraging discovery for me. I doubted my chances of seeing an angel because I barely trusted my own righteousness. However, I noticed a few exceptions. 2 exceptions to be specific. First, Balaam in the book of chapter 22 verse 31. Balaam was on a wicked mission, but the angel of the Lord appeared to him with a warning. Though the angel appeared to him to judge him, it was still an encounter with an angel nonetheless. Second, Gehazi in the book of 2 Kings chapter 6 verse 17. Though Gehazi was Elisha's servant, his righteousness was questionable. On account of Elisha's prayer, he saw hills full of horses and chariots of fire. This proved to me that seeing angels is a privilege that can be given to average people who are not necessarily righteous. This account also proved to me that seeing angels can be requested, just as Elisha requested it on behalf of his servant. Armed with this evidence, I petitioned God to grant me the ability to see angels. I prayed and told God, I desire to see angels. Open my eyes that I may see. I didn't know any better thing to do than to ask, because Jesus said, if you need anything, ask. A few days after making that prayer, I got a glimmer of hope. In one of the fellowships that I attended, out of the blue, the leader told me that the Lord would open my eyes to see in the Spirit. The leader didn't know that I had prayed to God to open my eyes. That proved to me that God had heard my prayer and He was in the process of answering it. All I needed to do was just wait and see what would happen. Days passed, but nothing happened. Weeks passed, but there was nothing. I began to despair, thinking that probably God had chosen not to open my eyes to see angels for some reason. I didn't want to interfere with what God was planning. As a result, I never asked God about the matter again. I continued hearing people claim to see angels in the fellowship. Sometimes I would feel spiritually inadequate because I couldn't see angels like my brothers and sisters, but I would convince myself that knowing Jesus is the most important thing. Augustine, if you make it to heaven, you will see angels. I would console myself. One evening, many weeks later, I was feeling very low. I was mentally tired and pursuing God felt very boring. I had a habit of praying in tongues before going to bed, but that night I had no desire whatsoever to pray in tongues. I just made a short prayer in understanding, asking God to watch over me. Then I went to bed. In the middle of the night, I had a dream. In the dream, I saw 4 men standing high up in the sky in a circle. They didn't have any wings or anything. They were just floating in the air. All of them had robes. 3 of them had purple robes and 1 of them had a white robe. The one with the white robe seemed to be their leader. While I was caught up looking at the men, one of them looked down and saw me. The one who looked down was one of the 3 who had purple robes. Almost immediately, he left the others and began descending. He came down to the roof of the house that I was standing next to. Then he stretched his hand towards me. I jumped a little, held his hand, and he pulled me to the roof of the house. Then he asked me, "What do you want?" Out of nowhere, I said, "I want to see heaven." He then told me to kneel down and close my eyes. I did so, and I felt a cool breeze over me for a few seconds. When the breeze stopped, he told me to open my eyes. When I opened my eyes, I was kneeling on a red carpet at the entrance of heaven. I looked around and saw very many angels going about very many different activities. Some were carrying utensils, others were casually seated talking, others were holding music instruments, among many other activities. The angel who had brought me casually walked away to join the rest. When I stood up to walk around, I woke up. My heart was full of joy and I felt so much alive. The experience made me feel so much loved by God. This brings me to the big question. How do people see angels when they pray in tongues? Well, people who pray in tongues see angels in 3 ways. 1, they see angels in dreams and visions, just as I did. This is the most common way in which people see angels. When you pray in tongues, you get lifted to the spiritual realm, and in the process, you can easily see angels. It is never a guarantee that you will see angels, but it happens for so many people. 2, people praying in tongues can see angels physically. This is not very common, but it happens. In most cases, people see angels, but the angels disappear in a flash. Most of the people are left wondering whether what they saw was real or it was a vision. Even those who have enough time to see angels physically still end up doubting if they were actually seeing angels or it was a vision. A good example is Peter in the book of Acts chapter 12 verse 9. You would think Peter, being an apostle, would easily know when he encountered an angel physically, but it turns out he was just like us. An angel walked Peter out of prison, but still Peter thought it was a vision. Lastly, people who pray in tongues, they see angels when they are caught up in heavenly realms. When you have deep encounters like that of John in the book of Revelations, you are bound to see angels. Such encounters lift you up to heaven, which is the habitation of angels. Though I can't give you a formula that will make you see angels when praying in tongues, if you ask God to allow you to see angels, as I did, you'll have a good chance of seeing angels. If you've had an experience seeing angels while praying in tongues, share with us in the comments below and inspire others. God bless you.